Hello and welcome to a special episode of the REDstreams. My name is Amelia Korzycka and I'll be your host today. And with me I have very, very cool guests. But let me introduce you, Alicja, Kozera, our senior committee manager.
Hi everyone, nice to see you again.
Borys Pugacz-Muraszkiewicz, our English adaptation director.
Greetings, everyone.
And Geralt himself, Cockle, actor and voice actor.
Hello, nice to be here.
How does it feel to be in a Gwent tavern, guys?
Amazing. There's no cards though. We need some Gwent cards.
We have drinks. No.
Yes.
So, you know, it's cool. And as you know, today is a very, very special day for us because we celebrate the 10th anniversary of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. What a ride.
Yes, May 19th.
Release. Yeah.
Release.
Yes, yes. Also, it's very special because you are our first guest in this new tavern.
Now we're showcasing to the world.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's a fine establishment. It's a fine establishment. I haven't seen a single innkeeper yet, though.
Yeah, I mean, I
Maybe
don't know
they will
what
come
happened
later
here.
on. Maybe. But yeah, guys, you probably noticed there's a lot of things happening this month and we're still not done yet. So, you know, make sure to keep an eye on our social media and actually on the stream as well.
Yes. So basically, we're gonna be talking to Borys and Doug today. But if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat and we will ask your questions to our guests. And for that, for people who come up with the best questions, we have special prizes today. Maybe we can showcase them.
I mean, it's somewhere in the room, so maybe some people already did spot it. But if not, I will show it. So we have these amazing displays made for special occasion. These ones are not signed yet, but we'll have these guys to sign it for you. So it's extra special. So please be creative. Make sure to drop the questions about Witcher 3. We're talking about Witcher 3 today.
Yes.
In the chat. And our team behind the cameras are working on it. Let me actually maybe introduce them. So we have Sebastian Sheika playing the game for you. You know, you will see the gameplay. We have Laura and Martin gathering the questions from you. And we have also a bunch of moderators and our local team as well doing the best job in the world.
Cool. So we are waiting for your questions, guys. So please drop them in the chat. We are waiting for really creative ones. They're ready for them. But in the meantime, we have some of our questions. So starting very easily, it's been 10 years. How does it feel to be living as Geralt of Rivia for 10 years, even 18?
20.
Yeah, yes. Well, yeah. I've actually been voicing Geralt, the English Geralt, in The Witcher for 20 years. So this is a 10-year anniversary of the release of Witcher 3.
Yes.
And that is awesome. But for me, it's especially poignant because it's actually 20-year anniversary of me being cast as Geralt of Rivia in The Witcher, which has been awesome.
Do you think he changed through all those years?
Has he changed?
Yes.
Well, it depends on how you play the game, isn't it? Geralt has changed in many ways over the years. Most of the ways, actually, he hasn't changed, he's evolved. It's been really, really fascinating to be on this journey with the CD Projekt gang, the writing team especially, because what I experienced, I don't know if you guys experienced this, but what I experienced was what I can only call an evolution, an evolution of maturity, of the confidence, of the writing, and therefore the performance as well, across the board, not just.
You remember what he started out as, though, right?
Oh yeah.
He
an
started out
emotionless
as
monster killer.
Yes, exactly. But an amnesiac as well. He had no memories. He had no identity, and I mean, you were there from his inception. You know?
Yeah.
You've come a long way.
So how it was, Borys, for you to find the voice of Geralt?
It actually wasn't that involved of a process. It was, you know, we're talking about maybe towards the end of 2006 or the beginning of 2007, when we'd already picked out a partner studio in the UK, and the gentleman we were working with at the time, Mark Esdale, assembled what he knew, came to Warsaw with a short list, I would say, and we were on a call with some marketing people. We weren't self-publishing at the time, right? So we still had a publisher. We had some. We were on a call with some PR people or marketing people from the publisher. It was myself and Mark and maybe one other people from the studio here, just listening to voice samples. And I mean, the one thing that I sort of wanted is to try to cast a voice that could be the voice of an everyman. Yes, okay, there were the prerequisites of a badass, somebody with confidence, somebody. You know, I wanted a nice, rich something or other. But apart from that, I really wanted him to be an everyman who satisfied the idea of being an emotionless monster slayer, but at the same time, sort of was a baseline relative to whom everybody else emoted, and he sort of, you know, just went down the middle and tempered everything and remained calm in the face of adversity, and so on and so forth. And there were some funny ideas floating around in the room. I remember somebody from North America wanting him to have a drawl, because they were thinking along the lines of a gunslinger, and not even. I don't know. The references that they were citing were like the Duke,
John Wayne.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
John Wayne, and so on and so forth, and yeah, there were some, you know, outlandish ideas, but it came down to sort of, you know, finding a voice that would be a middle ground.
Yes.
You know, a middle ground that you know. Yeah, it would just be an anchor for players, and somebody, you know, because Geralt is a defined character, and it's a defined character that we give to players all over the world, and I don't know, if you give him idiosyncrasies, I think that inhibits identification. You know?
I think you did a great job. Like the voice of Geralt has become iconic. I mean, you, Borys, for picking Doug, and you, Doug, for portraying Geralt. So we have first question from the chat. Let's maybe try and answer that. It's from Justin Pulliam. What inspiration did you use for creating the voice of Geralt?
Well, actually, you know, Borys, you're talking about gunslingers and things like that. I remember at some point during the audition process, somebody said to me, and I don't remember who exactly it was, but somebody said to me, Doug, think about Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry. And you can kind of hear it, you know, the, go ahead, punk, make my day. And it's that was kind of where the inspiration came from. I mean, people kept saying, go lower, less emotion, less emotion. And I was like, okay, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. But then somebody said Clint Eastwood, Dirty Harry, and that's what made me go, I think I know what you're looking for.
You were saying less emotions. So were there any lines difficult to record?
There weren't difficult lines to record per se. I think that the challenge was in finding the balance between the developers wanting to keep Geralt as straight down the line, as you described it, and emotionless as possible, and me as an actor wanting to emote, me wanting to go, wee, I'm a monster slayer. Yeah, so I think that the most common note, especially in Witcher 1, that I received was, Doug, less emotion, less emotion.
Just straight.
Bring him down, just straight.
Just
yeah.
Throw it away.
Throw it away was a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
one, wasn't it? That was a big note.
Yeah.
And I think that was the real challenge, is finding that balance between what they were looking for and what my actor tendencies wanted to move towards. But I think we found it.
I guess it's natural for you right now to be Geralt.
It is kind of, yes. It was difficult at first because the voice itself was very, very low in my natural register.
Yeah.
But the voice is a muscle, and like any muscle, you can train it to do things. And so now, dropping into the Geralt voice that is mine becomes very easy now.
Okay. So another question that we have from the chat, because you mentioned that you tried to be less emotional all the time while portraying Geralt. So the question from regular Sakana is, in any point of time, did you get emotional while voicing Geralt?
I don't remember ever getting emotional while voicing Geralt, except, and this is the honest truth, I got a little teary-eyed when we were finishing up the pickups for Blood and Wine, because I knew that, you know, as CD Projekt had intended, at least, and as far as I knew, this was the end of the story for Geralt. And I think it made me really quite sad. I was like, oh, I hope I get to come back and revisit.
It was quite a long journey for you, so
Yeah,
I completely understand.
Well, no, but along that journey, okay, so right, so emotionless monster slayer for The Witcher 1.
Yeah.
But The Witcher 2 already,
Yeah.
you know, we forced you to get into it, right? So, you know, you were involved in political scheming and so on and so forth. And the fact is that, like, The Witcher 2 opened up the character of Geralt a little bit. That is to say, he got a stake. You know, he actually had a stake. I don't know, given his relationship with Triss, given I don't know, the adversarial relationship with Yorveth or Vernon Roach, and so on and so forth. I mean, we started expanding sort of the emotional range that we would allow Geralt to take. And by the time of The Witcher 3, and you're on this desperate search for, you know, your adoptive daughter who you think has returned, and so on and so forth. I mean, we made you actually, or we wrote Geralt to live a lifetime, you know, over those 3 titles and the 2 expansions. And I mean, it came, you know, you were a newborn at the beginning of The Witcher 1. You were, you know, a fulfilled father figure by the end of The Witcher 3, and you were a retiree in Corvo Bianco, you know, in your own vineyard by the end of Blood and Wine. So, yeah, I mean, we took Geralt through a life, and we made you live that life, you know.
Yeah.
Question to you both. Do you have a line from, like, you know, any game, Witcher 1, Witcher 2, Witcher 3 expansions, that will stick with you until the end?
I have one, but it's more because of the way it ends up being used in my life now. And it's, damn, you're ugly. And part of the reason it sticks in my mind is because I go to conventions and sometimes people ask me to write that as part of the autograph, but they also want it personalized. So then I write things like, to Scott, damn, you're ugly, Doug Cockle. And I just think it's very odd. It's a very odd thing.
I don't know. Yeah, I love many of Geralt's lines, but I think the one that is most appropriate for this day and age and these times is one that I go back to time and time again in interviews, and that's you don't need mutations to strip men of their humanity. And I mean, it's one of those moments when Geralt, in spite of himself, I think, turns out to be a little bit of a philosopher, you know. And yeah, I really enjoy those. You know?
He has a lot of those kind of lines.
Yeah.
And I think it is. I think he is a philosopher. He's lived a long time. He's had a lot of experiences. He's loved some women. He's drank some beer. He's eaten good food. You know, he's had a lot of experience. He's experienced war, unfairness.
Yeah.
So,
There's this one line that we actually wanted to bring up. I don't know if you remember that, but it's, you think universals exist as real and distinct entities or only as mental constructs? That's what Geralt asks Uma at some point of the game.
Yeah. But see, that's
And
what I
it's
mean.
super philosophical, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very philosophical. But he picks his moments.
Yes, yes. Then it's you're ugly or wind's howling.
Yeah,
Wind's howling.
I mean, wind's howling is my favorite line. Alicia, what's yours?
Oh, I don't know. I played in Polish.
But maybe we should ask chat, what's your favorite line? Make sure to drop them in the chat. We'll see which one is the most creative one, or like
Yeah.
long forgotten one,
Or the worst one.
or the worst one.
Worst one as well.
So what was the most important part for you guys to make sure that, you know, will create Geralt, apart from like obviously the voice and being less emotional and stuff, but maybe there's something else as well to Geralt in there that maybe we don't know about him yet.
The most important thing in the
Yeah, for
process
you personally, yeah.
For me, it was just about finding the truth of the character. It was wanting to, as a voice actor, all you have is your voice to communicate the character, and then you rely on the concept artists, the animation people, the visual artists, and all kinds of other people who are making the character look the way they need to look and do the things they need to do. So as a voice actor, I'm always very conscious that I want to bring as much of my truth of Geralt through the voice as I possibly can. So that was always my first and greatest concern.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's my answer to that question. What about you, Boris?
I mean, you guys know Geralt the most.
The best, yeah.
Okay. So, for all of his, for all that's said about him being an emotionless monster slayer and so on and so forth, and I think, and I mean, you know, we totally owe you, I think, a great deal to. For the fact that in all that emotionlessness, there's still just a tremendous amount of nuance. Mm-hmm. That is to say, I mean, you know, even though the director's comment for every line might have been straight, I'm sorry, but it's absolutely clear when Geralt is being sarcastic and when when he's dissatisfied and when he's disgusted. All while being an emotionless monster slayer.
Yeah.
You know, and that I think is just a huge achievement. You know, I think it's what makes the character compelling.
So
while you know being sort of following the trope of the emotionless badass monster slayer and so on and so forth, it's still really apparent what he feels at any given time. You know.
So there's actually a great question from Yuna. Geralt's dialogue walks a fine line between poetic, sarcastic, and mean. So how do you find that tone in writing while staying true to the source material?
I mean, it's just in brain chemistry, I suppose. I'm not sure that, you know, there's no trick to it. I mean, okay, in general, what we try to do is, there's not a character in any of the games that we don't try to write through. That is to say, you do not write you're never just giving a character information. You're never, you know, giving a character, I don't know, quest business to describe, or, you know, you want always to write lines for a character through that character. That is to say, through their thoughts, and you imagine their point of view, and in imagining their point of view, I don't know, take into account their biases, take into account their desires, and only then do you actually, start, spitting the character's lines out on the page, and you can actually tell, immediately if you're letting the character speak or if it's you speaking.
Yeah.
Right. And most of the time you don't want to be the one speaking. You want to hear what the character wants to say. And you want to reflect what the character. You want to reflect in writing what the.
So I guess you have to get to know the character.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Is there any room to improvise while you record lines for Geralt or any other character?
From my perspective, not much, because the writing has already been so well considered and is intentional that my role is to make that live. There were times, though.
I don't. It's really up to the actors. There are actors who really, really enjoy sort of riffing on a character, ad-libbing, and so on and so forth. And there's absolutely no reason to tamp that down. There's no reason to ask them not to do that. No, you let them live the character. Actors ad-lib all the time, and ultimately, we have control whether or not we use it. But
see, my ad-libbing was always dirty. I'd say a line, and something would come to me, and I'd say something nasty. And don't put that in.
No. But Doug actually during recordings for The Witcher 1 and for subsequent games actually did have something of a sexual echo. It was especially regarding Shawnee, if my memory.
I really dig Shawnee. She's great.
You can feel that.
Yeah, especially regarding Shawnee, if I remember correctly.
Well, that boat scene just kind of set it off.
So you can actually say that Geralt did impact your life, right? But did it help you in general, like in the video game industry, in your career in that field as well?
Yeah, I think it did. I think it helped with a lot of things. It's a funny thing, though, because when you play a character who becomes so important in so many people's lives and iconic, some people say, it's a funny world because it opens some doors and it shuts others.
Yeah.
So it's never just a simple matter of, it's made my life entirely better, or it provided me with opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Without The Witcher, I would have had other opportunities, different ones. So it gave me these particular opportunities, and I think the trick when you're presented with a situation like that and you see that opportunities are presented because of a certain thing is to decide whether to go with that or to fight against it. Mm-hmm. And you might fight against it for perfectly good reasons, but I chose to go with it. And I'm really glad that I did. It allowed me to make some choices that to this day are allowing me to live a little bit different kind of life than I was living when Witcher 3 was released. Yeah. It's given me a degree of freedom, and this isn't monetary, this is in my head and in my heart. It's given me a degree of freedom to say, you know what, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And having Geralt as part of my life and having The Witcher as part of my life gives me the ability to make those choices. So I feel blessed to be part of the whole journey.
we feel blessed to have you too.
Yeah. For
So,
like 20 years.
Inevitable, we always get these questions when we are having voice actors as guests. So there's a question from Dispatris, and they're asking, how did you get started in voice acting, and how would someone go about trying to start a career? So maybe some advice.
This is a really common question.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give a pat answer, but that's kind of what I have to give because it's a huge question. I'm looking right in the lens, so you know I'm talking to you. If you want to become a voice actor, the best thing you can do is to become an actor first. You might have a great voice. You might even have some talent as an actor, but without learning how to be an actor, how an actor works, some of the processes, how you work as an actor as well, and really working in a group with a teacher is the best way to do that. That's the best way to become a voice actor. Take classes, get involved in amateur theater, however fits your path best. There's no one way to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's really important to say. I've known actors who...
It's not a closed skill set. It's not a strictly technical profession.
No.
You know, it's not a closed skill set. It does actually. You do need to open up emotionally. You know, you find a way to do that. You know, because only by doing that are you able to actually, you know, tap into that at a moment's notice. You know, based on whatever script you have in front of your face. You know?
Yeah, it's exactly that. There are loads of websites you can go to. One, I don't know if there's one here in Poland that might be good for this as well. The one I point people to in the UK and the US is a website called Gravy for the Brain. And they have loads of free content, but you can also subscribe and learn loads of stuff. It's just a great resource. So that's one place to start. Put into your search browser, your search page, how to become a voice actor, and you'll get loads and loads of material. So start there. That's really my best advice.
So, if not Geralt, is there any other Witcher character that you would like to play? Not Shani, though. Shani,
Oh, man, I'd make a great Shawnee.
It was very funny, actually, because I remember after casting you, I wondered what you looked like, because it was all done remote, and so on and so forth. And I don't remember if we met in London, or if we didn't actually meet until Mark and I went up to Sheffield to record strictly the Geralt lines after recording all the other characters down in London. And when I saw you at first, you had wire-rimmed glasses, and you looked nothing, absolutely nothing like Geralt. Actually, you resembled the professor, who was one of the chief antagonists in The Witcher 1. You looked like the professor, but you stepped into the booth, and it was unmistakably Geralt. But in general, I had a few of those experiences with voice actors. I remember being late to a session. I don't know if you remember the character of Alvin but it was a very, very, very convincing child's voice, right? But it was done by I don't know, 40-odd or 50-odd-year-old woman. I remember being late to the session where we started recording Alvin, and I was hearing, and I went into the control room, and there wasn't a window into the booth, and I was hearing a 7 or 8-year-old kid just line after line after line, and when the session was done, a 40-odd-year-old woman walked out of the booth, and I remember just my jaw dropped, you know.
It's kind of magical, actually.
Yeah,
it's one of the wonderful things about voice acting is, and this is, you know, why people are often drawn to it. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what clothes you're wearing. Yeah. All that matters is what you sound like.
Yeah.
And your ability as an actor to convey meaning and emotion with words that you're reading for the very first time, more often than not. So yeah, it's wonderful. I have no idea who I would want to play. I'm tempted to say Zoltan. Because he's just such a cool character.
True.
I wouldn't want to do Dandelion because John Schwab does him so well. Yeah, Zoltan maybe.
Zoltan is a nice choice. Okay, so maybe let's try some other questions from our community. Inquisitor is asking, did you read the books or did you prefer to create Geralt after Amnesia from scratch?
Witcher 1, I relied entirely on Borys and the rest of the CD Projekt team to explain this world to me. I didn't know about the Polish TV series. In fact, I don't think it had come out yet. I think it came out in 2007.
I don't even think the books were translated to English before The Witcher 1.
They didn't start getting translated into English until around 2007, 2008. So I had to rely entirely on CD Projekt to help me understand this world and this character. But once the books started coming out in English, I dove straight into them. And now I've read them multiple times. But yeah, it was an interesting one because I knew nothing about The Witcher. It was just this wonderful new fantasy world in this game that I was having fun exploring. And I knew that there were books, but I couldn't access them, so I was kind of in this weird vacuum.
No, you were in the right place, actually, because as an amnesiac, you didn't have the right to know anything about Geralt.
That's true.
So that's perfect.
Yeah.
We did have concept art and things like that around
Yeah.
the studio, and that was really cool, and that helped me understand the
Yeah,
world.
and I mean, Geralt could look at himself in a looking glass in the game as well, and he knew what he looked like, but besides that, he didn't know shit.
So were there any parts of Sapkowski's books that were hard to implement as a gameplay? Or from like the story perspective?
I mean, we started where the books ended,
Yeah.
right? So it wasn't about transposing anything. Our story started where the books ended. It wasn't about transposing anything directly from the book series, be it the short stories or the novels, except besides, I would say, in general, the shape of the world as it was described, often in very, spare little bits and pieces in the book series. But it was, we never thought of it as a mound of difficulties, We thought of it as this rich resource of oftentimes hints or suggestions or impressions and so on and so forth that we just had to give flesh, and it's been a 19-year at this point journey of giving all that stuff flesh, and it's been a life, it's been a wonder.
It's amazing. So, Rivian is asking, they say you can tell a person's temperament from the temperature of the drink they prefer. So what do you guys think? Does Geralt prefer warm or cold drinks?
I think he prefers room temperature.
Diplomatic.
I don't think he likes it too hot. I don't think he gets drinks that are very hot very often. I think he also probably doesn't get too cold, except out of a mountain stream,
But after a night on the path, you go to a tavern and a hot drink would be pretty great, no?
Of course it would be great, yes. Yeah.
It's difficult. I think it's going to be difficult.
I don't know. I don't see Geralt as actually enjoying creature comforts.
Yeah.
No, okay. I think Geralt gets what's the word? He gets he gets a kick out of downing a spicy potion. Like when he takes that hit of black blood, and he conscious of the effect that it's going to have on him, and it's going to make him contort, and it's going to make him suffer, but it's going to make somebody else suffer even more. I think he gets a kick out of that. That is, I think, the potions in their various versions, I think, are Geralt's beverage of choice.
So rather spices, not the temperature.
Spicy stuff, not.
Yeah.
Like not the creature comforts. No. I don't think.
Okay, I can see that. I can see
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Do you guys come back to Witcher 3 as players, not as developers, voice actors, but just, gamers?
I do.
I do too.
Yeah, every once in a while I go back and I my Geralt, who I left at Kaer on my PS4, I love to go back to him because there's so much to explore in Witcher 3, and I didn't explore it all my first playthrough. I've only done one full playthrough, but I tried to focus on the story, and I didn't do every single side quest, so I left loads of side quests behind. And I tried some that I failed miserably at because I wasn't powerful enough to actually achieve them. So I like to go back into the Witcher world and go mess around.
Any favorite quests
Any favorite quests?
or story?
Oh, one of my favorites was Johnny the Godling.
Oh my gosh,
I
yes.
love Johnny the Godling.
Godling Johnny, yeah.
What about you, Boris? You've seen so many quests, probably.
This is the problem. There's so many to
Yeah.
choose from.
No, I mean, when I go back for the feels, right? I don't know. I'll load a save from some point before the Isle of Mists, and I mean, I've in terms of Sapkowski's writing, and in terms of what we've tried to do as well in our games, I really enjoy the fairy tale elements, and the story of the totally fucked up story of the totally fucked up seven dwarves preceding the discovery of Ciri as I don't know, I guess a combination of Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, and so on and so forth is that's my little kick.
So Boris, we have a question for you from Florian.
Yes.
What was the hardest character to cast?
Oh.
Whose voice?
At the time, I think it was probably Letho of Gullet. For this, okay. So in terms of the Witchers of Kaer and Eskel and Lambert and Vesemir, or the cadet from the Witcher 1, Leo, it was all sort of, I don't know, they were all of a kind. And then with Letho, we had to, sort of figure out what we wanted to do with a Witcher who did not choose to do the right thing, and was going to be, very clearly, adversarial relative to our player character. And yeah, it was tough to define. What do we? I mean, we had a clearer idea of what we didn't want him to be than we did of what we did want him to be. I think we landed, very well with him, but yeah, it did our heads in, I think, for a while there to like, okay, let's talk evil Witcher, and what exactly are we talking about? And then we I mean, the tricky thing I think with Letho is to say, is he a madman? It was to answer the question, is he a madman, right? What Witcher in his right mind would make this choice? and I think we answered that in the negative. No, he's not a madman. He has a rationale. I mean, yeah. But it was a challenging thought process for us.
It's a very interesting insight to your process. So maybe something nicer. Actually, we have a question. If you could live in a place from the Witcher world, what would it be?
Beauclair!
Obviously.
Just for the fun of it. I just want to hang out with those knights, being all chivalrous.
It's also like the friendliest, I guess,
Yeah.
place
It
in
is,
the
yeah.
Witcher world.
Not for long, but I wouldn't mind. I think spending a summer at old, dilapidated and crumbling Kaer
That would be good, yeah.
just to camp out there.
Maybe like a road trip, visit some, like also Mahakam, for example, would be cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Well,
no
and
idea what it
Skellige.
would look like.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to go to Skellige.
So yeah, it would be a road trip, guys.
We're going on a road trip.
We need to see as many places as possible.
Are there any community reactions that, are there with you till now? Maybe something you've seen online, or maybe, you mentioned you're going on a lot of conventions, maybe, a discussions with a fan or someone that, is important to you guys.
I love interacting with the Witcher community. And when I go to conventions, it's just so lovely to share people's love of The Witcher. They stand in line and they come to me and say hello, and sometimes they tell me how much they love my performance. But mostly what they do is they just say, I love The Witcher. And so we have this little moment, someone I've never met before in my life, but we have this little moment of a shared love for something that is beyond either of us.
Yeah.
And that's a lovely moment. I've also had really, really impactful moments with members of the community. I met a young woman at the convention who came to the table. I told this story earlier today. Came to my table and she couldn't speak. She was having trouble speaking. She was so nervous. And then she started crying. And I went around the table and I said, "Can I give you a hug?" And I gave her a little hug. And then she kind of relaxed into it a little bit. And then she said, I'm just so happy to be able to speak with you. You are so important to me. Your portrayal of Geralt in the Witcher game, it was the only thing that got me through the death of my mother. And moments like that make your heart stop a little bit, because as an artist, you hope that your work is impactful, that you hope that you have a positive impact on the world. But sometimes you don't see what that impact is.
Yeah.
And little moments like that make you go, wow, this is one of the reasons I do what I do.
Yeah, we actually get a lot of stories like that, and it's really cool to see that our work, our collective work, makes an impact on people's lives. Yeah. So maybe something more fun. We have one question that we need to ask you both.
Sure.
We always ask people on the Witcher streams.
I was actually going to give. I was actually. Well, before we go to that, I was actually going to say. Well, I mean, that was a very. It was a very moving story.
Yes.
And I agree. That. I mean, fundamentally, we think of ourselves as working in the entertainment industry,
Yes.
but the fact is that, like, entertainment of whatever sort can impact people's lives in a very, very substantive manner. It's not always strictly recreation. It's often life-shaping, if
Elizabeth
not to say
Gilman is
life-changing,
good as well.
but life-shaping. But the one reaction that I wanted to mention was, and it still goes back to The Witcher 1, but it was one of the journalists from Rock Paper Shotgun who panned Doug as the choice for Geralt back in 2007 or 2008, and I remember getting into a email debate with this journalist, and that involved answering a series of open questions. Well, what would you imagine the character to be like, and so on and so forth. And I remember the response that I got was, I think what came back was the recommendation that we should have cast Christopher Eccleston in the, and I don't remember if that was. I think Christopher Eccleston was on the rise at the time. It was not long after Shallow Grave,
yeah.
and he was. I mean, he got noticed, I think, based on Shallow Grave, and so on and so on. But it was like receiving that. It was so counter to what I had imagined Geralt as, and I was like, no, that is absolutely wrong. And I think, I mean, time came down on our side.
Yeah.
I think we proved our point, you know, over the subsequent games that, like,
absolutely,
we did make the right choice in terms of shaping the character the way we did.
I had a similar kind of thing. It was Witcher 2, though.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly where it was. It may have been an Amazon review.
Yeah.
It wasn't a journalist. It was just a member of the public who played the game, and they didn't like me either. but the way they put it was, I don't like the voice for Geralt. It sounds like a 16-year-old trying to do a 40-year-old's voice. and I was about 40 at the time. And I was like, well, what can I do? You know? I can't win here.
But that's a compliment.
Yeah.
Okay,
Alicia, proceed.
Yes, so the question. Okay, so maybe that, because I think, Borys, I don't know if we have
We never
asked. No, we
asked.
never asked. Okay, so open question to both of you, but you have to pick one or the other.
Okay.
Tris or Yen?
You go first.
But he will
Okay.
say Shani.
No, just one or the other. No cheating.
Yeah, Tris or Yen? I get asked this all the time, and this is my answer. If I'm Geralt, and we're going canonically here, Yen. If it's me, Tris.
Okay, good. So,
I mean, I have a politic answer and an impolitic answer, and you're not going to be happy with either. So I don't even know.
Let's go.
Okay, my politic answer is neither. My wife.
okay,
My
good one,
impolitic
good one.
answer is both and more.
Okay, both are good.
Both and more. What? More women?
Yes.
I can do Witcher 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
it's an interesting question because they're both so amazing. They're amazing women. They're amazing. They're powerful. They're smart. They're funny. They're beautiful, and they're very different. And so I think that, you know, the choice of Yen or Tris is really down to, you know, what energy you want in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your preference?
I've dated both in the past. I'm married to neither at the moment. I'm not planning on getting married again or anything like that. Just, you know, I've dated Jens and I've dated Tris's, and they were both experiences I would have again. But yeah, I think you have to decide what it is, what energy you want in your life.
I really like that answer.
Good
So
answer,
guys,
good answer.
you heard it here first. Doug is Team Tris.
Do we have any final questions from the chat?
I
We are
don't.
slowly
I mean, we
moving
had a request actually because there was the talk about the voice lines, and there's one voice line that Polish community really loves, and they wanted you to say it with your Geralt voice. So this voice line is Zaraza.
Zaraza.
Nice one. I hope you liked it, guys. It's like damn it or something like that.
Oh, I gotta say it with more intention then.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Zaraza.
Really nice. Thank you so much.
What was that line in English?
Probably damn it.
It's something
Probably
like
damn it.
Or was
yeah.
it fuck?
Or just fuck, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
Fuck.
Okay, so I have the very last question for you guys. What advice would you give yourself 10 years ago? What would be the question or, you know, don't do it, do it, that you would put in a time capsule? Tricky one.
I would pay more attention to what was happening. I was 10 years ago when Witcher 3 came out. I was working full time at a university, running an acting course at undergraduate level, and doing my professional acting work on the side as well. And when Witcher 3 came out, I didn't realize just what kind of waves it was making. It took me a good 6 months to really clock what was happening. You warned me, you told me.
Yeah.
You told me a year and a half before it came out that it was gonna be massive. And I was like, yeah, okay, Boris, yeah.
Yes, sure.
I was warned, and I was too busy to listen. I would like to tell myself 10 years ago to pay more attention to what's happening, because it was quite a magical thing, and I missed some of it that I wish I could have experienced more fully. Yeah.
Boris?
Wait, sorry.
What advice?
What am I writing? I'm writing a sentence down to
yourself.
myself.
Yes.
10 years ago.
10 years ago, the day we released
Yes.
The Witcher 3.
And you received the box today.
Jesus,
a hard
that's
one.
It's a hard one, yeah.
That is difficult. I mean, I want to say something like, maybe don't be a stranger. No, I mean, I don't know. You know, it is what it is, and strategy is what, and you know, strategy is strategy, and I'm not in the business of strategy, but I'm happy to be
Part of this.
to have been part of this and to be coming back to it, and that's
Perfect.
That's
It's a great
that's all.
answer. Okay, so I think that is it for
Yeah.
today. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for all your questions. And now we're gonna sign those displays
Yes.
to show you that they are actually real.
Real, yes. I think we should have the marker
Here,
somewhere
marker
here.
is in
Yeah.
here. Here we go. So Boris and Doug are now signing
Yeah.
the displays for you, and some of the questions that you asked today will be rewarded with those displays.
Way. Should I just give you that one?
Sure.
These are beautiful, by the way. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
Yeah, I will take this one. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and those exclusive displays can
Yes.
go to you guys.
But that's not everything when it comes to surprises, because we also have surprise for you, Doug.
Do
know?
you?
Yes, it has been 10 years of the Witcher 3.
20 years of you being
20
Geralt.
years of you being Geralt, and Geralt needs something.
Yes.
And this actually goes from our partner. So if you didn't see Ravensforge yet, these came
Oh, I know about Raven's
straight
Forge.
from Raven's Forge. So yes,
There you go.
we have the whole set of the swords for you.
Yes, one silver, one steel.
That's amazing.
There you go.
Wow, look at those. Look, they're engraved.
Beautiful.
You know, Geralt needs his swords.
Of course he does. This is beautiful.
Yes, this is
Wow.
the second one.
So yeah, if you guys want to feel like Geralt,
Amazing.
we have the link in the chat. Just type ! Raven's Forge, and you will be able to get the swords yourself as well and be like Geralt as well.
These are beautiful. Thank you.
Our
These are
pleasure.
amazing.
I mean, it's well deserved.
You think they'll let me through security in the airport?
We'll ship them, don't worry.
We'll make our own magic. Maybe we'll do a portal
Oh,
for
wow.
you or something.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. That's very unexpected and very, very welcome. Thank you so much.
So before we go, do you guys have anything that you would like to share
With our community.
with our community?
Yes, I will share something. I love you. Mwah.
Aw, that's awesome.
Thanks so much for being with us all these years through so many titles.
Awesome. So I guess that's it. Thank you, guys. It was lovely to have you, Doug. We loved having you finally come here and join us for a stream. Borys, as usual, it was a pleasure. Unfortunately, we need to wrap, but I hope we can meet again on a stream about
Hopefully
something.
soon. Maybe we'll see. And yeah, and me and Alicja will see you guys very shortly, actually, with Jacek Rozenek and Adam Badowski for Polish edition of the stream. But maybe, who knows, we'll have subtitles, so everyone would be able to also hear from Polish Geralt. But obviously, that's not everything. And yeah, we'll see you also still in May. So stay with us till the end of the month, at least, hopefully.
Yes, keep your eyes on our social media channels. We still have some surprises planned for you.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good Monday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.